Get ready.
Taxi Chaos is a love letter and spiritual sequel to Sega's late 90s arcade classic Crazy Taxi. If you know how to play Crazy Taxi, you know how to play Taxi Chaos. You drive around the virtual city, picking up as many punters as possible and deliver them to their destination before the timer runs out. Rinse and repeat to improve your skills and chase those all-important high scores. In general, the game controls feel solid, a little more floaty and less erratic than Crazy Taxi, but in general still feels good to dart about the virtual New York City. It keeps all the important features like the boost start and even the Crazy Hop, which was added to the later series of Crazy Taxi games. The city feels well designed with notable landmarks helping you learn whereabouts you are relative to other areas on the map, but a lack of traffic and pedestrians can sometimes make the city feel a little lifeless, almost like having your taxi shift at 6 a.m. on a Sunday. The developer has addressed this though and said they're going to add in more pedestrians in a future update. The graphics look fine, they're a little bit soft and generic for my taste, but that's also how I feel about Fortnite's style, which probably says more about my bad taste than it does game design when you consider the success of that franchise. The game can hitch in frame rate a little bit on the Switch from time to time, but nothing that really takes you out of the action. The sound in the game is the one area that I did find a little bit disappointing, to be honest. Crazy Taxi was loved for its over-animated voice acting and high-energy licensed punk soundtrack. Taxi Chaos, in comparison, has kind of milquetoast in-game announcements and a bizarrely chilled, generic-sounding house and techno soundtrack, which is the polar opposite of what an action game like this needs. The developer has addressed this too and promised to add in a heavier soundtrack to complement the action soon after launch. So I'm excited to see what they do with that. The price of £30 at launch feels a little bit steep for the content that's included in the game, to be honest. Aside from the unlockable Pro mode, which disables the navigation arrow, and the free roam mode, which disables the timer, it's basically just the arcade experience that you're getting for your money. The somewhat typical $15.99 indie game price would have felt perfect for it in my opinion, but I guess the less demand there is for a game genre, the higher price people are going to have to pay to warrant the developer's time and resources to work on it, so that may justify the higher price to some degree. Overall, I enjoyed my time with Taxi Chaos. In almost every aspect, the game feels a little less intense and bombastic than its role model from Sega. A little less aggressive controls, softer look and soundtrack, which in my opinion were all big parts of the charm to the original Crazy Taxi series. But in the absence of any real interest in the franchise from Sega, Taxi Chaos is a fun way to scratch that classic arcade taxi sim itch without having to apply for your Uber license.